Futo was a violent loser who gets sent to his special academy for delinquents after beating up his classmates. But hold up, this whole toxic environment is actually run by certified baddies trying to put him on a leash, which naturally forces our absolute simp of an MC to try and is his way out of taking a massive. So on day one, bro pulls up expecting a buffet of top-tier wafers to glaze, only to get absolutely caught lacking in 4K when he realizes every single girl on campus is strapped to the teeth and radiating negative aura. And right when he's about to touch grass, this absolute unit named Masuko spawns in looking exactly like James Charles if he completely forgot his Ozempic prescription, dropping the wildest rules. Because apparently, the staff forces all guys to look smacks with makeup, but Fudo instantly tells him to kick rocks, declaring he's gonna free roam this place however he wants. Meanwhile, the campus top-tier ops, aka the Supreme Five Swords, are holding an emergency Discord call. And their head goth baddie Rin is literally pulling up Fudo's receipts, exposing how this unhinged menace got banned from his last school for sending 40 kids straight to the Shadow Realm. Right in the middle of this yap session, another girl named Amo chimes in saying she's already beefed with him, warning the squad about his broken cheat code called the Spirit Bullet. Fast forward to class, where Fudo instantly gets cornered by Rin and her goon squad who are completely ready to put him in his place. They hit him with the law dump, explaining that when the school went co-ed, the girls were literally handed devious licks to chop off the guys' joysticks if they ever tried acting up. Rin gives this bozo exactly until the bell rings to start barking on command, but bro absolutely refuses to be a sub, instantly sliding right under girl's skirt like a complete degenerate to vault out the window. Which obviously makes Rin crash out, sending her right behind him to enforce the rules before time runs out. She starts swinging her blade like she's trying to disconnect his head from the router, yet somehow Fudo parries with his literal crusty toes, earning some rare glaze for his reflexes. But hold up, she suddenly pops her ultimate like a sweaty tryhard, forcing our guy to camp on defense while she violently shreds his shirt and clips his face. Realizing he's about to get packed up, Fudo equips his special gloves to start tanking her hits at point-blank range. But because the author clearly hates him, bro literally fumbles his movement keys and gets cornered, letting Rin absolutely spam her combo attacks. Until out of nowhere, he clips right under her hitbox and casually plants his hand on her ribs. Smirking like a true edgelord, he tells her it's GG's because she brought a sword to a literal gunfight. And with zero hesitation, he pops that spirit bullet hacks, yeeting Rin across the map and leaving the other ops absolutely gagged by the disrespect. He tries yapping about how it's actually just a glitchy sword technique, that he completely patched into something new, but Rin ignores his lore and drops the spirit bullet name, instantly triggering Fudo to interrogate her about who leaked his stats. But before the tea is spilled, Rin's little minion Nono spawns in and violently bonks him on the skull. And in the most shameless display of plot armor ever written, the impact forces Fudo to faceplant straight into Rin, locking lips in a chaotic tango of tongues that literally shatters her mask. Realizing he just caught a major case, Fudo immediately backs up and tries to blame the minion, but Rin is already standing up, absolutely sobbing and tweaking out of her mind, promising to shove her blade straight into an unmentionable inventory slot. Skipping to the next day, while Nono is prepping for class, another op named Mary pulls up, aggressively declaring she'll pack Fudo up herself since Rin totally fumbled the bag. But wait, Mary's ultimate meat rider choker instantly interrupts, begging to take the 1v1 in her place, which immediately starts a massive toxic screaming match with Nono, who is also desperately thirsting to cancel Fudo for that accidental riz. Meanwhile, our boy is just chilling in the bath with Masuko like absolute bros, while Masuko is questioning how Fudo literally soloed the head admin before period 1 even finished. So Fudo drops the backstory, claiming he wasted his entire childhood grinding exp for the spirit bullet that one-shot Rin. He then casually asks how to get a fast travel pass out of this school, and Masuko drops the bomb that he needs stamps from the exact baddies he just assaulted, which is literally impossible odds. Suddenly, Fudo catches a major debuff headache, so Masuko hands him some meds and leaks the school's online marketplace UI for ordering gear. Scrolling through the shop, Fudo unironically jokes that the boys probably need some hardcore GOONER material or a fat pack of the devil's lettuce just to survive this cursed place. and Masuko casually admits there's an actual black market plug selling premium items if you got the cash. But instead of doing anything useful, bro literally just orders a cake, dragging it to class the next day thinking it's going to buy him some waifu points. But his negative aura is so strong they literally all log off the moment he approaches. He forces an NPC to tell him where Rin is, only to find out she's AFK with a sickness, completely catching a debuff from his crusty gamer lips. Completely unbothered, he rolls up to Masuko to ask if the female players actually spawn in their dorms for lunch, which Masuko says is massive cap since the cafeteria is miles away, before suddenly realizing this lunatic is about to pull up on Rin's base and starts begging him to stop. Cutting back to the dorm, Rin is bedridden and malding, blaming Fudo for entirely ruining her immune system with that forced physical contact. But as she tosses around, the absolute brain rot sets in, and she realizes she actually wants to re-roll for another kiss, which violently sends her into a full-blown panic attack. Hearing someone clipping through her walls, she desperately slaps on her broken mask. And right on cue, Fudo infiltrates her window, prompting her to immediately launch a melee attack. But he casually parries it, reminding her of the massive L she took last time they threw down. This smooth brain then complements her setup and drops the cake box in her lap, before zooming in on her face and dropping the most unearned "you're cute" W is known to mankind. And after dumping all that artificial glaze, he finally demands the fast travel permit, which she instantly denies, yapping about how only high trust factor players get passes and his toxicity level is way too high. So he baits her by asking about off-campus drip, which completely breaks her logic as she accuses him of desperately wanting to see her casual fits. Fudo just goes with it, causing this supposedly fearless boss to completely fold and hand over the paperwork. Coping that it's just a trade for the cake, Fudo jokes about hitting her with another kiss, which literally fries her motherboard and makes her pass out right into his arms. But just then, Nono spawns in with food, sees him holding her like a complete creep, and absolutely crashes out, triggering every single devious trap hidden in the room. Fudo barely dodges the wipe mechanic and dips outside, only to immediately get aggroed by Choker, who pulls out an actual whip, loudly apologizing to Nono because she's securing this kill feed first. Blocking his escape route, she yaps her whole lore about being Mary's sister and the self-proclaimed top dog of the junior squad, until Nono finally catches up, screaming that her backstory is absolute cap because Nono is the actual true leader. Choker completely ignores her and starts swinging anyway, and Nono jumps in, giving our MC exactly enough frames to equip his tanking gloves. The two baddies finally team up to jump him, while half the campus logs in at the windows to spectate the 1v2. Nono initiates with a crazy spam combo, which Fudo instantly recognizes is just a copy-paste of Rin's moveset. Then Choker follows up with her whip, actually landing a hit on his arm and totally tilting him. They start monologuing about how he's facing a level 2 correction, a toxic 1v2 that only the legendary Empress has ever survived. But Fudo just hits them with the perfect dodge roll, blocks Nono, grabs the whip midair, and literally weaponizes their own attack against them. Telling them to get their comms up, he fires the spirit bullet hacks, launching Nono directly into Choker like a bowling ball. The collision leaves Nono with 1 HP, utterly collapsed on top of her teammate, as Fudo menacingly walks up to claim the W. But suddenly, Nono remembers his unholy riz on Rin and literally starts bawling her eyes out. Choker tries to play support, but ends up crying too because she's terrified of his crusty gamer lips. Instantly, the entire student body spectating turns on Fudo, basically labeling him the next Diddy, forcing him to tactical retreat. Later on, Rin sneaks him the actual fast travel permit with her official stamp locked in. Fudo grabs his loot and dips, but then the two minions rush in, loudly snitching about how he was plotting to infect them with his mouth, which sends Rin's jealousy meter so high she literally unplugs from the Matrix and faints again. Later that night, Choker is fully traumatized in bed, while Mary sits in the tub plotting her revenge arc, refusing to let this peasant disrespect her squad. Next morning, Fudo spawns into class to find Rin camping his desk, while all the NPCs keep maximum distance to avoid his ungodly Riz disease. Rin pulls her blade and aggressively appoints herself his personal hall monitor, swearing to protect everyone from his devious intentions. By nightfall, Choker leaks this update to Mary, who absolutely loses her mind at Rin monopolizing the school's biggest threat. Back at the basement dorms, Masuko warns our MC that he's officially aggroed Mary, a top-tier op who makes Rin look like a complete casual. Telling him that with 2 baddies tracking his IP, his account is heavily in danger. But Fudo couldn't care less, pivoting the chat to ask if there's a secret final boss above them. Masuko spills the lore about the Empress, a totally antisocial sweat who touches 0 grass and deals blade-level damage with her bare hands. This immediately triggers a flashback for Fudo, reminding him of the 1 gigachad who handed him a massive L back in the day. Next morning, Rin literally breaches the boys' dorm and starts screaming at him to ready up. She starts fully auditing his inventory for banned items, but finds absolutely 0 source. Looking completely disappointed, she swears to shadow his every move to keep his crash-out energy contained. But Mary intercepts them, loudly pressing Rin for meat-riding the exact player ruining their vibe. Rin tries to deflect the allegations and run defense, but Mary is completely dialed in. The beef reaches critical mass when Mary straight up accuses Rin of falling for this loser just because of their accidental lip lock. Rin finally snaps, screaming that Fudo is her exclusive problem and no one else's, ordering him to fast travel to class while she handles the PvP. Seeing that Rin is fully tweaking, Mary equips her rapier to literally beat some sense into her. While the big bosses throw down, Choker fully tunnels on Fudo, determined to secure the elimination herself. But Fudo casually catches her whip midair, hitting her with the ultimate, "I don't even know who you are" rejection. And right then, she gets a glimpse of his unzipped hardware and literally logs out from sheer terror. Fudo patches his drip, only to notice Amo just standing there menacingly, completely throwing him off. Because bro clearly remembers when he thought she was a dude, and how she nearly wiped his account before forcing him to be her absolute Discord kitten. He tries to square up again, but she's not having it, telling him she needs a breather before she puts him in the dirt once more. Which makes our smooth brain MC ask how she suddenly spawned as a waifu, and Amu literally has to explain she was female the entire time. And right before he can keep yapping, Mary randomly renders into the zone, instantly short-circuiting when she catches a glimpse of Fudo's unzipped hardware. She violently dips to go comfort her traumatized duo Choker, and by the time this bozo turns around, Amu has completely disconnected from the server. But suddenly, Fudo's spider sense starts tingling, spinning around to find Mary literally camping his spawn, aggressively tweaking about how badly she wants to discipline him. Meanwhile, back inside the base, Amu is busy having a whole anime flashback about Fudo's toxic past, remembering how he absolutely packed up entire lobbies and refused to bow down to her admin privileges. She remembers actually getting the upper hand on him once, but is currently mouthing over why she didn't just secure the elimination right then and there. Completely tilted by the memory, she locks in and swears on her KD ratio that she's gonna wipe the floor with him next time they queue up. Cut back to the courtyard, where Mary is spamming her fencing light attacks, and while Fudo tries to iframe dodge, he still tanks massive chip damage. She just keeps clipping him, effortlessly reading his movement patterns and exploiting his literal skill issues. Hitting him with the rawest trash talk, claiming she just nerfed everything that actually made his build viable. Desperate to not take an L, Fudo blindly W keys toward her, forcing her to thrust her blade, but bro literally parries it using his crinkled gooning magazine. And the second she backsteps to recover stamina, he closes the gap, bonks her directly on the head with the forbidden literature, and pops his magic bullet hacks to yeet her into the stratosphere. Now that she's officially packed up, Mary's brain rot fully takes over, as she accuses him of only beating her so he could use her for his weird simp fantasies. But Fudo hits her with the hardest rejection known to mankind, shutting her down completely. Which makes her immediately start coping, convincing herself that he must just think Rin is a higher-tier baddie. So in a completely unhinged display of desperation, she literally offers up the premium front assets, but our guy actually declines. She asks if he's more of a bakery inspector, and while he admits he's a man of culture who appreciates all geometry, he complains that she's giving up the loot way too easily. which apparently completely kills his negative aura vibe. Pivoting back to the main quest, Fudo demands her stamp for his fast travel pass, so this absolute menace hides it directly between her twin peaks, practically daring him to dig for it. But bro literally cancels his animation midway and drops a firm no, refusing to take the bait, making Mary realize that maybe not every male player in this lobby is a total diddy. Suddenly, Rin's voice echoes through the chat, and when she spawns in to see Mary fully exposed, she completely crashes out and attacks without a single frame of hesitation. Mary desperately pops her defensive comms to explain the context, very conveniently leaving out the part where she literally threw herself at him and got swiped left. After the dust settles, Mary officially stamps his slip, but loudly declares she's adding herself as Fudo's second parole officer alongside Rin. And as this absolute NPC stares at the two top-tier ops claiming him, he realizes his playthrough just got bumped to the hardest possible difficulty. Fast forward a few server days to a rooftop lunch break, where these two baddies are literally screaming into their mics over who gets to monitor him, dragging the beef out so long that Fudo starts questioning if they even have real jobs. And while they're yapping, bro casually points out their hitboxes are completely exposed to his line of sight, which obviously just makes them tweak even harder. But hold up, because right at that moment, another Five Swords boss named Warabi logs back in from her Hawaii vacation. She immediately spots Rin and Mary acting like complete Discord kittens chasing Fudo around, and decides she needs to intervene. So she pings the admin group chat for an emergency meeting, but only Satori actually bothers to ready up. Warabi starts malding, convinced that Rin and Mary have officially caught feelings for the exact troll they were supposed to ban. And because she's a toxic tryhard, she literally adds both of her own teammates to the server's correction hit list. Cut to gym class, where a massive crowd of NPCs is grouping up, forming the craziest lag spike. Curious, Fudo investigates and is absolutely gagged to see his big back homie Masuko literally crucified in the middle of the map. He instantly tries to rush in and cut him down, but Rin and Mary body block him, realizing the whole setup reeks of massive bait. Out of nowhere, the most generic villain audio file blasts across the courtyard, making them look up to see Warabi camping the high ground on the roof like an absolute boss. She grabs the megaphone to announce it's finally time to purge the server of all the degens ruining their aesthetic academy. And to flex her admin powers, she officially triggers a server-wide PvP event called the War of Impics, aka the Festival of Blood. Warabi drops the patch notes, naming Fudo as the primary bounty and stating he has to speedrun her gauntlet of minigames to free Masuko, with the ultimate loot being her official stamp on his hall pass, which instantly makes our simp completely lock the heck in. And with a Thanos snap, her minions spawn in out of thin air, holding the official quest document stamped by both her and Satori, proving this event is completely legit, which causes Rin and Mary to rage about her bypassing the committee, but Warabi just violates them, claiming they've been too busy glazing Fudo's glizzy to actually do their jobs. Then Warabi unveils the very first stage hazard, a massive sumo ring. And while Fudo starts hyping himself up, Rin painfully yanks his audio receptors and warns him this isn't a joke, reminding him of the deep lore where Warabi literally griefed a student with gasoline and burned half the lobby down just for fun. Suddenly, the goons toss them sumo belts, and Fudo shamelessly tries to unequip his pants right there, forcing the girls to scream at him to put the cosmetic over his base skin. Right on cue, the junior duo Choker and Nono try to third-party the minions, but they get absolutely one-shot, forcing Rin to burn cooldowns to break up the fight, promising to settle the beef post-match and focus on the main objective. The goons then offer to help equip the belts, but notice our boy is already fully geared up. So Rin drags him into a private corner to help adjust her fit. And when Fudo gets to work, Rin starts catching feelings and making the most unholy, suspicious noises known to mankind. Hearing this absolute brain rot, Mary starts sweating bullets and begs Rin to do hers next, but Rin totally fakes amnesia, forcing Mary to endure the exact same hands-on treatment. And the second the match officially starts, a literal Twitch camera crew starts streaming it live, sending the girls into a panic to hide their premium assets from the viewbotters. When Fudo steps into the arena and asks who he's 1v1ing, the minions roast him for thinking this was a tutorial level. Because suddenly, a literal, actual grizzly bear named Kyobo renders into the ring, making Fudo completely crap his pants at the sight of a non-human boss. But Warabi just yaps that the bear is officially registered as one of her guild members. Rin and Mary immediately report her for using illegal mods, arguing that a non-human violates the rules, which Warabi surprisingly agrees with. Adjusting the patch notes so that if anyone in the squad solos the beast, they all pass the vibe check. Fudo instantly realizes this is just a toxic strat to drain their stamina bars early. And while the wafers offer to tank the aggro, Bro activates his main character syndrome and demands to 1v1 the bear himself. Warabi casually slurps her soda, announcing the duel starts the exact frame her empty bottle touches the floor. And while our MC is questioning why his life has become a literal meme compilation, he refuses to dodge a fight enforced by pure toxicity. The bottle makes contact, and Fudo aggressively W-keys straight into the bear's hitbox. He actually bullies the unit to the edge of the zone, but his base strength stats aren't high enough to secure the ring out. Warabi starts spamming laughing emotes, but Rin and Mary know exactly what happens when Fudo makes physical contact. Bro charges up his mana and blasts a point-blank magic bullet, but this absolute tank literally eats the damage and doesn't even flinch. Kyobo throws a massive heavy swipe, which Fudo barely iframes through before firing another shot from his offhand. Completely enraged, the bear lunges again, but Fudo breaks its ankles, blasts its foot for mobility and teleports right behind it. Using pure, unadulterated plot armor, he literally deadlifts the multi-ton beast off the floor, leaving the spectating NPCs absolutely gagged as they warn him he's about to get pancaked. But Bro ignores the chat, gripping the boss by its cosmetic belt. Fully fueled by the rage of seeing his big back bro Masuko strung up like a decoration, he preps for the ultimate suplex. The audience braces for the wipe, but Fudo randomly cancels the animation, revealing that the bear's sumo belt actually unclipped, meaning the furry is officially disqualified by technicality and Fudo gets the W. Rin and Mary start hyping him up, while Warabi's jaw drops at the massive L she just took. Completely tilted, she orders her squad to retreat inside before barking commands into the mic to initiate the Red Pepper Tower protocol. Ripping out her weapon, she screams that the tutorial is over and the actual ranked match has begun. Once the bear despawns from the ring, Fudo notices the entire enemy team has vanished from the minimap, leaving him totally paranoid about the next phase. Right on cue, Warabi hops on the PA system, declaring the festival phase is complete and baiting Fudo by saying his coveted fast travel stamp is waiting for him within the next 10 minutes. She adds the toxic condition that he has to solo queue the rooftop, where his execution will be broadcast live to the whole server. Flexing that the entire academy is now her personal fortress. Packed with camper mobs stationed at every choke point, ready to jump him the second he crosses the threshold. The wafers frantically ping danger, telling him it's a guaranteed wipe mechanic and to just log off, but Fudo's ego is way too massive to back down. He claims he got a direct server invite, plus he still needs to revive his hostage homie. He tries to bench the girls, telling them to stay behind, but they immediately check him, reminding him that being his babysitters is literally their main questline. So the duo re-equips their standard school skins, giving Fudo exactly one frame to completely stare at their forbidden bakeries. But before he can even enjoy the view, Nono and Choker randomly render back in, demanding he tell their masters they are pushing the roof too. Then, as Warabi finally unlocks the front gates, the two juniors aggressively W-key inside ahead of him, volunteering to farm all the low-level trash mobs for free XP. Fudo relays the comms, and while the top-tier baddies stress over their sidekicks, Fudo tells them to just trust the process. As the juniors absolutely style on Warabi's grunts in the background, closing the distance on the objective. While the battle rages, our trio searches for the stairwell, but every single door is hit with an admin lock, causing Satori to randomly suggest they just blow a hole through the geometry. And literally 2 seconds later, the wall aggressively detonates, and Satori drops down from the ceiling, smiling like an absolute psychopath. She casually mentions how she thinks Warabi's event is completely cringe, and as Fudo's squad readies their weapons for a boss fight, she actually unequips her blade, dropping the law that the council only approved the first mini-game, meaning everything happening now is totally off the books and totally toxic. Meanwhile, somewhere deep in the basement lobbies, a bunch of masked NPCs are actively praising Masuko, which completely tilts Warabi since it's ruining her broadcast aesthetic. But suddenly, Fudo clips onto the rooftop with his 2 pocket healers, and Warabi instantly realizes these top-tier wafers are completely down bad for him. She starts aggressively interrogating them on why they are simping so hard for his joystick, making them both totally blue screen from embarrassment. But then the bear Kyobo respawns on the roof, as Warabi starts monologuing about demonstrating high-low combat mechanics. Mary's headset picks up enemy footsteps rushing the stairs, so she splits off to hold the choke point alone, leaving Rin to verbally roast Warabi for crutching on a literal animal to win her fights. But Fudo just activates his Sigma walk straight toward the beast, confidently announcing that every true gamer already knows the boss's critical hit zones. Our MC is feeling himself now, big-braining Kyugo's moves and predicting a front paw swipe, just so he can duck and grab him from behind. But Warabi hits him with the ultimate record scratch, revealing this furry unit literally trained under Khabib in Dagestan and knows actual boxing fundamentals. And with that massive buff, the beast instantly W-keys straight into Fudo, while Rin breaks off to secure the 1v1 against Warabi. But Rin is left absolutely gagged when Warabi flawlessly perfect dodges her swing and casually clips her shoulder with a blade, heavily flexing that her base stats are just as broken as her pet's. Meanwhile, Fudo tries to cheese the fight by blasting a magic bullet right into Kyobo's armpit, but this tank literally eats the damage and corners him like an absolute bully. And while he's fighting for his life, Warabi starts violating Rin verbally, pointing out how she went from being his biggest hater to fully meat-riding him on the front lines. Seeing his goth baddie getting tilted, Fudo screams through the mic to hype her up, admitting he never even dropped a thank you for her jumping into his lobby earlier, which gives him exactly enough adrenaline to fake out the bear with a feint, making this supposedly pro-fighter guard its chest and leave its entire face totally exposed. Bro capitalizes instantly, dropping a massive critical hit directly to the snout that literally yeets this Dagestani grizzly straight into the Shadow Realm, leaving Warabi totally solo, which prompts her to blindly rush Rin, but Rin finally locks in and totally tanks a hit just to land her own counterswing, making Warabi instinctively flinch and cancel her animation, totally fumbling the bag and handing Rin the easiest W of her life. Fast forward a few frames, and the junior duo Choker and Nono finally render onto the rooftop, desperately sweating to carry the squad only to realize the server wipe is already finished. They try to drop some glaze on Fudo for the carry, but instantly freeze when they spot this creep clutching sumo belts and asking for help strapping them onto the defeated ops, because he somehow makes it sound like a literal Diddy party invite, causing every single waifu to instantly equip their weapons and start chasing this menace completely off the roof. Skipping to the next morning, Rin is inspecting her shattered cosmetic mask, completely blushing over the memory of Fudo actually dropping that W-riz on her bare face. Noticing her senior acting totally out of character, Nono pulls up to check if her mental health is crashing out. So Rin nervously asks if leaving her signature gear permanently damaged is a massive L. But Nono starts hyping her up, swearing that her natural skin texture actually gives her way more aura. At the exact same time, Mary is aggressively spamming her premium perfume and begging her sidekick Choker to validate her looks-maxing routine, which Choker happily does by heavily glazing her as the top-tier baddie of the server, injecting Mary with exactly enough main character energy to finally touch grass and head to class. But the second they log into the school lobby, Mary and Rin are absolutely gagged to see a massive swarm of NPCs surrounding Fudo, literally begging this absolute loser for some degenerate attention just because he boxed a wild animal, which violently spikes the jealousy meters of our two main wafers. And all throughout the lecture, these random fangirls keep staring at him like he's a certified TikTok star, while this bozo is just desperately trying to AFK and catch some sleep. Catching him totally slacking, Rin violently smacks him back to reality, leaving all the normies in the class completely confused by her toxic girlfriend behavior. Later on, Mary catches a group of these low-level simps camping his hallway spawn, and instantly uses her admin privileges to banish them back to their rooms. But the brain rot only spreads, with even more thirsty girls forming a literal hype squad just to cheer on this guy buying a basic consumable from the vending machine. Mary and Rin are fully tweaking over why this zero-drip NPC is suddenly drowning in clout, only for Fudo to completely ghost them and walk straight past. They aggressively body block him to interrogate his pathing, and Bro casually explains he's just trying to secure some lunch. So they forcefully invite themselves to his table, radiating such a violently toxic aura that Fudo's hunger stats literally drop to 0. When he actually complains about their negative vibes, these two baddies remind him that their high-level presence is the only thing keeping the thirsty mobs away. Bro realizes they're spitting facts, though Rin aggressively warns him not to let this fake clout inflate his massive ego. Once the school day ends, Mary and Rin are privately mouthing because this absolute smooth brain didn't even notice they spent hours optimizing their cosmetics for him. Fast forward to their dinner break, the two are aggressively venting about his total lack of awareness, beefing over the fact they both gave him their ultra-rare fast travel stamps. Mary casually suggests they need to enforce some hardcore, unhinged discipline on his account, and while Rin pretends to be against it, her intrusive thoughts start agreeing that he definitely needs to be corrected. Meanwhile, halfway across the map, Fudo catches a random debuff and feels a massive chill down his spine as they secretly scheme on his downfall. His big-back roommate Masuko notices him tweaking and asks what's up, leaving Fudo to admit he feels like someone is fully tracking his IP. The very next morning, Fudo is camping the designated spawn point, waiting to squad up with Mary and Rin before class. But instead of dropping a good morning, the girls aggressively interrogate him, sensing that his energy is acting completely sus. Fudo ignores the hostility and starts yapping about his sleep quality, before absolutely stunning them by noticing Rin unequipped her new gear and Mary swapped out her premium perfume, proving he actually paid attention. Totally flustered that his riz is actually working, they panic and demand to audit his inventory for illegal items right there on the spot. But things instantly escalate from 0 to 100 when they pull out a fully rendered photo showing him literally clapping cheeks with Satori. Fudo's brain totally short-circuits because he has zero memory of catching this specific body, but knowing these absolute menaces won't listen to reason, he tactical retreats while they violently hunt him down. Bro desperately clips around a corner and crashes directly into Warabi and her bear Kyobo, who immediately start barking at him for violating the hallway speed limits. But by the time Mary and Rin slide into the same corridor, they only spot Warabi and her pet, with Fudo nowhere on the radar, forcing them to search another sector. The second they dip out of render distance, Fudo crawls out of his hiding spot and actually thanks the beast for not exposing his coordinates. Warabi then drops the wildest lore drop imaginable, revealing the massive bear is actually a female who has completely caught feelings for him. After surviving that brain rot, Fudo unloads his whole predicament, making Warabi literally burst into laughter over how unhinged his situation is. Fudo questions why Satori would literally grief his reputation like this, and Warabi explains she's just running a toxic strat to nuke his squad so she can steal him for herself. Hearing that makes Fudo fully analyze the leaked image, realizing a glitchy sensor effect proves it was photoshopped, so he plans a stealth mission to locate the raw unedited file and clear his name. Bro starts strutting off like he's got the master plan, making Warabi heavily suspect this absolute degenerate is just going to breach the girls' dorms again. She reminds him that the admins massively buffed the security after his last devious lick, but Fudo drops a raw one-liner claiming he won't even need to use stealth mechanics, leaving her completely baffled. Cut to later that night, where Mary and Rin have officially captured his lagging behind, violently interrogating him like literal feds over the leaked image. But the vibe instantly drops when they accidentally rip his shirt and spot a massive network of battle scars fully mapped across his back, immediately cancelling the torture session. As the two ops quietly exit the room, wondering what kind of nightmare lobby gave him that damage, Fudo is left struggling to regen his HP. Warabi finally pulls up with some consumable rations, absolutely roasting him for throwing the match and intentionally letting himself get captured. But Bro casually reveals it was literally a 200 IQ bait to intentionally infiltrate their base without triggering the anti-cheat system. Impressed by the cheese strat, Warabi officially joins the party, desperate to figure out what Satori's actual villain arc is. Fudo tries to hit her with the solo player act, telling her to stay back, but she aggressively declines. While the massive bear playfully nudges his hitbox, confirming that this weird-ass trio is going to beat this dungeon together. They speedrun straight to Satori's base, but find absolutely zero loot in the stash, forcing Warabi to realize that Satori is keeping the objective item fully equipped in her personal inventory. And as they try to extract, Fudo literally steps on a landmine trap and barely iframes out of catching a massive game over. Right as two random NPC guards spawn in the hallway, forcing the bear Kyobo to aggressively bodyblock Fudo from their line of sight. While Warabi distracts them with some casual dialogue, Fudo accidentally grabs the bear's absolute furry bazookas, making the beast violently crash out from overstimulation and forcing Warabi to desperately hide his character model. Just as they are about to get caught lacking in 4K, a random audio glitch draws the guards away, totally distracted by a random baby bear spawning in the chat. Once the coast is clear, Warabi is fully ready to team kill Fudo, but somehow holds back her intrusive thoughts. They push into the bathhouse sector, but still find absolute zero traces of the cursed photo. Warabi suddenly notices Satori's main weapon is unequipped, right as a fully masked op breaches the room, instantly launching an ambush that Warabi effortlessly perfect parries. At that exact frame, Satori steps out of the steam looking like a final boss, casually dropping the line that she's been waiting for his lobby to load in. Fudo immediately locks onto a tiny pouch hanging around her neck, letting his gamer instincts realize that the unedited raw file is definitely stored inside. Without warning, Satori's little minion Misogi tries to secure a stealth kill, but Fudo literally catches her projectile needle midair like an absolute tryhard. He instantly calls her out for stream sniping his every move, realizing he's been sensing her toxic presence for days and blaming Satori for dragging her into this beef. Satori casually admits she bypassed his dorm's firewall because his absolute sellout of a friend Masuko leaked his coordinates, which triggers a massive PTSD flashback for Fudo of waking up fully pinned by this absolute menace. Desperately trying to stop his hardware from turning into a stiffy, it turns out Misogi was just hiding in the corner acting as the cameraman for this degenerate setup, and before Fudo could even hit the report button, Satori literally roofied him by transferring a sleep debuff directly through a forced kiss. Snapping back to reality in the bathhouse, Fudo realizes she predicted his entire questline, flexing that the unedited proof is securely locked in her pouch. Meanwhile, completely oblivious to this stealth mission, Mary is aggressively chugging wine and ranting to Choker like a bitter single mom demanding child support, while Choker just nods and acts as her personal bartender. Mary starts aggressively tweaking, questioning if Fudo is just another toxic player only interested in her premium assets. But then she re-rolls her memory logs, remembering how he literally rejected her free trial offer earlier, proving he isn't entirely brain-dead. This completely scrambles her logic, eventually making her cope and decide to blindly trust his account. At the exact same time, Rin is violently chugging barley tea in her room, fully crashing out to Nono because she refuses to forgive him for supposedly exploring a whole different map of cheeks. Nono tries to validate her anger, calling him an absolute trash-tier NPC for stealing her first kiss, which triggers Rin's trauma all over again as she violently logs off to go to sleep. But as she stares at her broken gear, she catches feelings all over again over his WRIS compliment, leaving her totally tossing and turning in her bed. Cutting back to the dungeon boss fight, Fudo interrogates Satori on why she's throwing so hard, and she drops the most toxic villain monologue ever, claiming his mere existence lowers her frame rate and she just wants him permabanned. Warabi is absolutely disgusted by this hater energy, vowing to block her trolls while officially locking into a 1v1 against the minion Misogi, leaving Fudo to handle the main boss, who shamelessly suggests they fight fully exposed in the water, which makes Fudo beg her to equip some armor because he literally can't fight with a massive stiffy buff activating in his pants. But she just keeps intentionally baiting his weak point until his joystick fully locks in, which absolutely tilts Warabi so hard, she Spartan kicks him directly into the pool to force the engagement. Suddenly, Warabi's screen starts getting heavily distorted, realizing that Misogi's projectiles are coated with a massive sleep debuff. Desperate to not get logged out, she literally shanks her own leg to reset her stamina bar, swearing to protect Fudo just to keep her bear happy. Meanwhile, Fudo is furiously yapping at Satori just to distract his own unholy thoughts and nerf his stiffy, but she responds by violently launching him across the map, giving him the ultimate toxic choice of dying by a stab or a slash. She realizes Bro actually frame-perfect blocked her initial attack and drops some rare praise, before immediately spamming another heavy swing. Fudo aggressively dash cancels out of the way, but her hitbox is so broken it still clips his cheek. But right in that chaotic frame, he spots an opening and violently lunges for the loot pouch, only for Satori to parry his grab and critically slice his back. She continues to mock his sweaty movement tech, diagnosing him with a severe skill issue for always dodging his real-life responsibilities. Completely boxed like a fish and overwhelmed by her attacks, and the fact that her premium assets are fully rendered right in his face, Fudo is literally fighting for his life. Until his brain finally boots up, and he realizes her entire unhinged setup was completely pre-calculated. He aggressively calls her out as an absolute monster for relying on this level of toxic cheese, which randomly strikes a massive nerve in her coding, triggering a tragic backstory flashback of her own parents slapping her with the exact same label, admitting she literally never downloaded the files for basic human emotions. She violently W-keys into him again to cope, but this time Fudo easily catches her blade, because he instantly notices that her mental debuff is completely ruining her attack frames. He goes for the counterplay, but psych, it was all a bait, and Fudo ends up eating a faceful of knuckles instead. Reading her hitboxes, Fudo yaps that she's hard-locked to one specific class build, but she totally gaslights him, instantly swapping her loadout mid-combo and leaving him completely gagged. Meanwhile, back outside, Warabi is fully struggling against Misogi as her HP bar starts flashing red, and her character model gets heavier. Another toxic dart clips her, instantly stacking the debuff. But Warabi literally shanks her own HP to reset her stamina, locks in her stance, and drops a raw voice line declaring she's securing this W. Cutting back to the dungeon, Fudo gets clipped by another unblockable attack, finally realizing Satori has actual cheat codes letting her spam moves from 10 different skill trees. When he calls her out on her hacks, she literally confirms it and toxically suggests they turn the 1v1 into a lethal word association minigame. Spamming attacks with zero cooldowns, Satori violently chains techniques while playing a whole minigame in her head, absolutely boxing Fudo like a fish. Mid-combo, Fudo screams that she's a literal monster, noticing her attack frames lag again, which gives his two-brain cell mind the ultimate devious idea to exploit her waifu coding the exact same way he broke Choker, by exposing his actual joystick. Bro literally drags her into the sauna and unequips his base layer, letting his hardware catch the ultimate fresh air breeze. This completely fries Satori's motherboard with rage, but her next attack is so telegraphed that Fudo easily perfect blocks it. He hits her with the hardest roast, pointing out that for a supposed monster, she can't stop staring at his dangling loot drop, making her mechanics completely predictable. At the exact same frame, Warabi regens just enough mana right as Misogi tries to secure the execution, allowing Warabi to lay the ultimate smackdown and disarm her toxic projectiles. Stealing the minion's own weapon, Warabi absolutely styles on her until she logs out. Just then, a completely new boss from the Five Swords named Tsukuyo pulls up to the bathhouse, already stream sniping the whole fight with her max-level hearing stats. Warabi unequips Misogi's mask, and her jaw literally drops when she sees the face reveal. Meanwhile, Fudo officially wins the 1v1 and tells Satori to hit the surrender button, but this absolute menace threatens to drop his innocence-proving screenshot directly into the water. But to her absolute shock, Fudo just backhands her without a single frame of hesitation, not even caring that his crucial evidence just got wiped. Completely blue screening, she asks why he's crashing out so hard, and Fudo casually drops that it's purely because she made Rin catch a sadness debuff. Hearing his simp logic, Satori's sociopath AI can't compute the emotion, but she still drops some rare glaze, calling his move honorable and yapping about how humans are a crazy species. Bro reminds her that she's literally human too, pointing out how tilted she got when he called her a monster, leaving the supposed final boss completely pouting like a Discord kitten. Fast forward, Fudo is having an unhinged dream about Satori offering some premium sloppy toppy, only to wake up and realize it's just the bear Kyobo aggressively licking his face like it's mating season. He realizes his character model is fully wrapped in bandages, catching a massive chill when he deduces he's been AFK for hours and totally examined by the nurse NPCs. He instantly checks chat for Warabi's status, and Satori confirms she's AFK in the next room, making Fudo sigh in massive relief. He questions how he even spawned in the medbay before the replay data finally buffers in his head. Right after their PvP match, he actually tried to help Satori out of the pool, but this absolute troll yanked him in and started waterboarding him. Turns out she only hid him because her radar pinged Tsukuyo approaching the objective. Right outside, the admin squad found Warabi fully knocked, with Tsukuyo arriving right behind. She commanded the support class to heal the entire lobby and transport them to the safe zone. Tsukuyo then breached the hot springs to confront Satori, who tried to gaslight her by claiming she was solo queuing the bath. When Tsukuyo pressed her about the male player hiding in the lobby, Satori played dumb, so Tsukuyo basically dropped a threat aimed directly at Fudo, telling him she's camping the fountain's spawn before dipping out. The second she logged off, Fudo burst from the water, desperately trying to regen his oxygen, aggressively flaming Satori for nearly drowning his account without comms. But Satori just brushed off the toxicity, claiming she literally saved him from catching a permaban from the sweatiest sword op on the server, warning him that no matter how inflated his ego gets, his current build cannot survive a 1v1 against her. Fudo completely ignores the red flags, boasting he'll W-key her anyway. But the moment he steps out of the tub, his stamina bar fully deletes itself from all the damage he tanked, causing his character model to instantly ragdoll. Satori drops the coldest one-liner, noting that at least this time he caught a sleep debuff naturally instead of getting roofied. Skipping to midnight, Rin is desperately trying to log off, but Fudo's face is permanently burned into her screen. Realizing she's completely down bad, she aggressively copes by pretending she needs to go audit his status in the medbay. She starts stealth walking to the objective, only to violently bump into Mary running the exact same thirsty strat. They instantly start capping to each other, claiming they just wanted to secure some midnight snacks, forcing them to party up and head to the cafeteria. They sit there aggressively sipping tea, pretending to chill while secretly praying the other one logs off so they can sneak back to Fudo. But the side quest gets completely derailed when Choker and Nono spawn in, totally confused to see their seniors active. The juniors crash the tea party, aggressively pinging that they all need to go AFK. But Rin and Mary spam excuses to hold the lobby. Rin then suddenly switches strats, aggressively chugging her tea to force a totally unprompted drinking minigame. Convinced she can easily outstat Mary. And right as everyone's bladder stats are hitting critical capacity, Satori breaches the room to drop the law that Fudo got transferred to the medbay. The squad demands the patch notes on how he got there, so Satori spits absolute cap, claiming Fudo actually defeated her, but randomly slipped and took massive critical damage directly to the family jewels. Back in the safe zone, Fudo is tweaking, asking if he got carried through the girls' dorm while fully logged out, and Satori confirms the absolute disrespect, explaining her massive cover-up lie about how Rin and Mary supposedly tortured him before Satori and Warabi clutched the rescue. Fudo starts stressing that the admins will see right through the cap, but Satori guarantees the NPCs bought it because they have top-tier guild status. Meanwhile, Tsukuyo actually caught a cold debuff after camping the fountain spawn for too long, getting absolutely flamed by the dorm admin. Back at the bed, Fudo re-equips his shattered cosmetics and asks if Satori's HP is low. She casually drops that he literally popped her eardrum, but acts completely unbothered. Bro drops an apology for the toxic damage, which she ignores. But then she hits him with the wildest update, revealing she already leaked the fake lore to Rin and Mary about him supposedly slipping and hitting his junk. He realizes those two ops are now aggressively hunting him down, right as Satori announces a player has joined his lobby. Rin breaches the room radiating massive killer aura, and Fudo fully braces to get his account permanently deleted. But out of nowhere, Rin drops a massive apologetic bow, begging for forgiveness, making Fudo realize Satori actually leaked the true patch notes after all. But then Rin's camera pans down to his fully exposed trombone, causing her to internally scream while desperately trying to cool her system down. They finally hit the dialogue tree, and Rin spams apologies again, this time for accidentally inspecting the heavy battle scars mapped across his back during her raid. She tries to dig into his lore, but he skips the cutscene telling her it's nothing. But Rin keeps breaking down, literally begging him to drop a punishment on her so she can reset her guilt stats. Bro sighs and agrees, ordering her to blindfold her avatar. Instantly, her brainrot kicks into overdrive, fully expecting a hardcore 1v1 tongue battle. Instead, he just gently unequips her mask, dropping the line that he's been wanting to do that since day one. Fudo reads her tilted aura, but sees she's intentionally holding back her crash out. So he finally asks for the mask lore, and Rin confesses how cringe she feels exposing her base skin, launching into her tragic backstory. Explaining how her dad was caught lacking with an ugly NPC, causing her mom to violently project her rage onto Rin, branding her face as cursed because it matched her dad's presets. Since that patch, Rin locked the mask to her inventory permanently around her mom, eventually turning it into her core aesthetic. She begs Fudo to never leak this on Twitter, totally unaware that Warabi is camping in the next room, desperately trying not to ruin the vibe. Rin then admits how massively her aura boosted when Fudo dropped that W-riz on her face earlier, confessing it was the first time she actually wanted to unequip her gear permanently. Hearing that, Fudo returns the item, admitting he low-key planned to delete it from the server, but instead tells her to grind her character development at her own pace. He casually points out how weird it is that she still simps for her toxic mom, admitting his own logic can't compute that. Dropping his own sad lore about how he never downloaded parental love, grinding his levels as an orphan until a sword master carried him. Rin literally starts crying over his backstory, and Fudo drops a wholesome line about being glad they traded lore. Right as the vibe peaks, Mary aggressively breaches the room to apologize, instantly offering him premium access to her bakery, which Fudo immediately SWIPes left on. Hearing the rejection, Mary assumes Rin already farmed all his exp, making Rin absolutely crash out and start a whole new PvP match. Later that server day, Fudo spawns back in his dorm, where his big back bro Masuko greets him like he just survived the gulag, but Fudo instantly AFKs into his bed. Masuko tries to open a dialogue tree to apologize for selling him out, but Fudo skips the text, claiming he knows Masuko only did it to keep the guild safe. Masuko drops a wholesome smile and mentions he washed Fudo's gear, and when Fudo inspects his loot, he finds his heavily guarded fast travel stamps and absolutely loses it with joy. The next morning, Fudo wakes up from a cursed cinematic where his HP was literally at 1, bleeding out while Amu held him completely hostage, with her dropping the most toxic voice line about how this was his final chance to hit surrender. He logs in with massive negative aura, completely tilted by why his old trauma logs are suddenly re-uploading. Across the map, a random NPC completely panics upon discovering the top-tier Empress boss has gone missing from her spawn point. Meanwhile, in the communal showers, two absolute sus NPCs are aggressively voice chat singing while scrubbing down. One of them catches a weird pixel shifting behind him, turning around just to see the wildest movement speed glitch straight out of a horror game. A long-haired blonde menace barely peeks their hitboxes, making these two bozos scream into their mics and violently dash out of the zone. They aggressively sprint down the hall and crash into Masuko, desperately capping about how a literal monster just invaded their shower lobby. They ping Fudo with the intel, but bro just totally gaslights them, roasting them for having zero mental fortitude. But they absolutely refuse to drop the allegations. Fudo just hits them with a massive violation, claiming anyone would catch a debuff having to watch their cursed models bathe, making them instantly rage quit the chat. Bro complains his vibe is totally off and attempts to go back into sleep mode. But the strat fails when Rin starts aggressively spamming voice comms from outside, ordering him to ready up for the escort mission to class. Before he logs out of the dorm, Masuko drops his permission slip, and the sus NPCs notice his quest tracker only needs 2 more boss stamps, dropping heavy glaze on his speedrun. But Masuko brings the mood down, warning him that the final admin is going to be a completely unplayable matchup. Back at the main academy, Tsukuyo pings the head admin that the Empress has officially abandoned her designated zone. Realizing this absolute menace is now roaming the server, the head admin immediately hits the panic button and forcefully cancels all active questlines for the day. Up on the roof, Satori is literally skipping with joy while thirsting over that one spicy pic of her and Futo. Meanwhile, Futo spawns outside the dorm and immediately gets flamed by Rin because he took way too long to finish his looksmaxing routine. Bro notices Mary's account is offline and asks for the tea, only for Rin to explain she's currently searching the girls' dorm because Choker's loot went missing along with Warabi's emotional support bear. Inside the base, Warabi and a whole squad of NPCs are frantically searching for the little bear Domo, but the lobby is completely empty. The minions suggest pinging the whole server for a search party, but Warabi shuts that down because if the freak Satori finds him first, she'll treat the poor bear like a chew toy and absolutely ruin its day. So she orders her squad to speedrun every room in the school to secure the bear before Satori can initiate any rough play. Back in the hallway, Mary runs into our favorite duo and reveals she's actually hunting for Choker's missing weighted gear. Futo and Rin are absolutely gagged when they find out the gear is actually Choker's wig, and Mary starts begging them to help because the girl refuses to show her base skin in public. High up on the rooftop, Satori is bored out of her mind, wondering what kind of unhinged toxicity she should drop next. Suddenly, the minion Bizogi spawns in, claiming she's been tracking Satori's IP for a hot minute. Elsewhere, Nono tries to get the scoop from Tsukuyo about the missing hairpiece, but Tsukuyo hits her with the don't care, didn't ask energy. When Nono wonders how she even knew about the quest, Tsukuyo reminds her that her hearing stats are maxed out, she hears everything. She looks over at Futo wanting to drop some lore, but Nono has already disconnected from the conversation. While hunting for the wig, Mary accidentally stream snipes a convo between Warabi and her musketeers about Domo, and her last two brain cells completely short-circuit. She convinces herself that they literally stole Choker's wig so Warabi could looksmax with it herself. When Futo and Rin finally find Mary, she's already in the middle of a massive crash-out, building a whole conspiracy theory with zero proof. Warabi shows up asking for Futo's coordinates, but Mary just starts screaming at her, accusing her of being a common thief in 4K. Futo tries to play server admin and explain that they're all just looking for different loot, but nobody is listening. The whole group starts a toxic lobby argument over whose missing item is more important. As Futo tries to lower the volume, he remembers the terrified NPCs in the shower from earlier and finally connects the dots in his empty head. Back at the showers, the two bozos are washing up when the monster reappears. Panic takes over their system, and they start throwing random consumables and gear at the creature. One of them manages to land a grab and yeets the monster straight out the door, where it ragdolls right in front of Futo and the wafers. That's when they realize it was just the bear Domo wearing Choker's wig like a complete degenerate, returning the loot to its rightful owner. Nono then pulls up with a short girl who looks completely cursed. It's just Choker without her hair extensions. Choker demands her gear back, but the bear has already chewed it into a pile of trash. Rin tells everyone to just take the L and head to class, but Nono reminds her the admins cancelled all classes for the day. Mary drops the bomb that the final boss Amu has gone missing, and Futo starts sweating as he remembers the girl who once sent him to the Shadow Realm. They soon link back up with Warabi to drop off Domo, and she's just hyped that Satori didn't find him first, so she can keep using him as her personal plaything. One of the minions points out that the masked girl they fought earlier looks exactly like the one currently yapping with Satori on the roof. The girl tries to complain to Satori, but Satori just backhands her and tells her that her whining is giving her a massive headache. Suddenly, Amu spawns in and tells Satori she's officially crossed a line. She holds up the spicy photo, rips it like a total savage, and calls Satori a lunatic who's about to get corrected. Satori just shrugs it off with zero aura, completely unbothered. Down below, Warabi looks up and spots Amu camping the roof with Satori. She hops on her bear and screams for all the NPCs to get out of the blast zone. Up top, Satori tries to dip, but Amu just lets her pass with some scary main character energy. Misogi senses the trap and tries to send a warning, but the ping was way too late. Satori launches an attack, but Amu just perfect parries her into another dimension. Misogi tries to fire a toxic dart, but it literally does 0 damage. Satori gets overwhelmed in seconds, and Misogi gets clipped as Amu preps her finishing move. Misogi jumps in and takes the hit like a total meat shield. Tasting the blood, Amu realizes they're actually sisters. Misogi reveals she was the original Satori until her sister stole her name, her face, and her entire account. But even after all that griefing, she still loves her sister before her screen turns black. The words actually break the fake Satori's brain, making her remember her lost humanity. She starts screaming in despair over her sister, only for Amu to smack her down and silence her comms permanently. Warabi pulls up seconds too late, bare at her side. She challenges Amu to a 1v1, and the bear Kyobo joins the fight. They launch a team combo, but Amu just ignores the damage and counters them both effortlessly. She roasts Warabi for thinking she could ever stop her rampage. Nearby, Futo is walking with his big back homie Masuko when he spots Tsukuyo. Futo sees the chance to grab that final boss stamp for his pass. Masuko starts tweaking, warning him that Tsukuyo is the most cracked member of the Supreme Five. But our MC has 0 brain cells, so he just walks forward anyway. Suddenly, Tsukuyo swings her blade so fast she literally slices the air. By the time Futo's brain processes the attack, she's already sheathed her blade like a total pro. Bro's legs give out and he stumbles backward, ragdolling onto the pavement. He didn't even see her draw her weapon, and Tsukuyo tells him he's basically already dead on the leaderboard. She tells him she didn't actually cut him yet, and because the headmistress told her to watch him, she'll give him one more chance to not take a massive L. But she warns him that he's already used up his 3 strikes like he's playing baseball. She lists his bans, first for breaking into Rin's dorm, second for doing it again to find Satori. But the 3rd strike, the biggest violation, was ghosting her while she was waiting for him by the fountain. Which is why her attitude toward him is currently at absolute 0. Futo tries to drop a quick apology, but Tsukuyo tells him she's completely out of patience. Futo tries to stall for time by asking why a literal child is judging his entire life. Tsukuyo doesn't miss a beat, telling him the reason is actually very simple. It's because she's way stronger than him. It's like comparing a hydrogen bomb to a coughing baby. A butterfly flies past, and she cleanly slices it in half before Futo can even blink. Futo realizes she's a monster and asks why she's out here griefing butterflies when girls are supposed to like them. Tsukuyo just calmly says she literally can't tell the difference. And that's when Futo realizes she's as blind as a bat. She confirms she's got 0 vision, but her hearing stats are so high she doesn't even need eyes. She explains her invisible blade technique. It's faster than the human eye can track, and Futo admits he can barely see it. Tsukuyo realizes they have the same teacher from the same crackhead sword academy. But she roasts his technique for being sloppy, concluding that either his teacher was trash or he's just been wasting his potential on being an NPC. Futo just laughs awkwardly, glad she at least recognized his swordsman background. Tsukuyo explains how she figured it out. His speed and reflexes are way above normal, proving he was raised in that toxic sweatshop environment. Up on the roof, Warabi is looking at her HP bar in horror after Amu landed a massive critical hit. Kaiva tries one last desperate move, but Emu is straight up op, parrying the attack and slicing that massive bear with just her bare hands. Warabi screams in pain, and down below, Futo hears the comms blowing up. The 3 musketeers rush in to stop the execution, but Amu just counters them all at once, driving her fingers into their bodies like a savage. Tsukuyo keeps yapping, but Futo finally cuts her off and asks what's actually going on. She explains that the Empress is currently on a rampage, describing Amu as someone who never made a single friend in the academy. But she says Amu always talked about Futo because he's the opposite, someone who can riz up even his enemies, while Futo never even mentioned her once. As Tsukuyo keeps talking, she realizes Futo has already left the lobby. She turns around in a rage just as Futo is sprinting toward the roof. Another scream echoes as Amu slashes Warabi right in the eyes. The scream rings out through the school, alerting the 5 swords and their followers. By the time Futo reaches the rooftop, he sees the bodies of the victims scattered everywhere. He looks at Warabi, who is bleeding out and in critical condition. Rage finally takes over, and he screams Amu's name with pure toxic energy. He rushes to Warabi, but she tells him to go help the others instead. He tells her their injuries aren't as bad as hers, letting her finally relax and close her eyes. Futo screams for help and realizes the headmistress has spawned right behind him. Meanwhile, Amu leaves the building and approaches Tsukuyo, noticing how she's already in combat stance. Amu asks if she's worried about her friends, but Tsukuyo says she was never friends with those NPCs anyway. Amu just walks past her and warns her to look away from what's about to happen. The others regroup and confront Amu, asking why she's acting like a total sociopath. Amu coldly says she'll make them scream the same way when she rips their vocal cords out. The headmistress steps forward, and Futo is absolutely shocked, wondering who she actually is. She tells him to move and checks on Warabi's wounds. She decides that Warabi will be fine after she gets some surgery done. Futo asks how he can help, and she tells him to go deal with the final boss downstairs while she handles the rooftop cleanup. He looks down and sees Rin and Mary attacking Amu at the same time. But Amu just deflects both hits and counters with her fingers, leaving deep gashes in their bodies. She roasts them for being a waste of time and says they're already past their expiration date. The injured girls are confused, wondering how her feet are literally as sharp as blades. Amu just laughs and roasts them for being ignorant. She says the ultimate form of karate is turning your entire body into a weapon, which she calls takamikazuchi. Now Emil is closing in on Nono and Shoka, and these NPCs are basically shaking in their boots because they know what's coming. But suddenly, Tsukuyo spawns in as a server admin and asks Nono if these are her certified Pukis. Nono is tweaking hard, but the second she sees Tsukuyo gripping her blade like she's about to drop a phantom tax, she immediately nods yes. Hearing that, Tsukuyo flashes a devious smile and vows to protect the squad, while Amu just grins back, admitting this final boss fight is starting way earlier than her scheduled stream. And now she's ready to prove whose build is actually meta. Is it her perfected karate hacks or Tsukuyo's dollar store blade? With a smug aura, Tsukuyo starts yapping about her auto-counter technique, claiming her body is a literal cheat code that works as both a shield and a weapon. So she asks this toxic baddie if her defense can even handle a strike that moves at 5G speeds. And then Tsukuyo locks in, the air gets frosty, and she finally opens her eyes, meaning it's officially GG's. Amu dares her to swing, and in a literal frame-perfect blink, Tsukuyo closes the gap and clips her 3 times before the animation even finishes. Amu starts leaking oil from her mouth, but Tsukuyo is also taking chip damage because of that weird auto-counter recall. But hold up, Amu points out that Tsukuyo's katana actually snapped mid-clash, noting that if the blade wasn't a cheap imitation, she'd be getting packed up in a casket right now. So now Tsukuyo is just standing there looking goofy with a broken stick like a total regard. As they reset their stances, Tsukuyo admits she's acting like a total emotional goober and blames Futo for ruining her mental health. Just as they're about to trade blows again, Futo randomly charges in like a delusional main character, shoving Tsukuyo aside while screaming Amu's name. And Amu answers by powering up her power level and roaring his name back at him with pure 4K energy. Her scream is so unhinged it echoes through the whole map, making every student realize that the server is about to crash. Rewinding the tape, we see Futo first met this baddie at their old school, and because bro is a total NPC, he actually thought she was a cute femboy. He pulls up with some questionable riz, teasing her and saying she's way too cute to be a dude. He even jokes about wanting a smooch, but instead of getting flustered, Amu just takes a fighting stance and dares this little GOONER to try it. She tells him straight up that no one has ever successfully breached her firewall. Suddenly, Futo teleports away, and before her brain can even buffer, he's standing behind her resting a hand on her shoulder, record scratch, so Amu swings on him immediately. Futo just laughs like a total dork, explaining that he's still developing this secret movement tech. And he boldly claims that if she keeps being toxic, he's gonna have to humble her account completely. But instead of running, Amu actually respects the grind and accepts the challenge. So she introduces herself properly and adds him to her friend list, shaking hands and welcoming him to the lobby. A bit later, this weak-tier student named Kurosaki, who Futo saved from getting bullied, offers to show him the school grounds. But before he can even walk, Amu spawns in like a jealous Discord mod and insists on guiding Futo herself. Seeing Kurosaki shaking in his boots, Futo actually touches grass for once and chooses to hang with the homie instead. And Amu becomes an absolute menace because Futo rejected her for a low-level NPC she considers worthless. So she hits Kurosaki with a one-tap that sends him straight to the hospital. She then warns Futo that he's only allowed to hang with people she approves of, because she's the one who controls his social life. Fast forward to the present, and an enraged Futo attacks her, merging the memory with reality as he strikes Amu right across her face. She immediately pops her auto-counter and digs her fingers into his stomach, yeeting him across the rooftop. But to her shock, Futo stands back up with 0 damage because he's got a thick magazine strapped to his abs like a total budget Batman. It's the same way he cheesed the fight against Mary, proving his only skill is using paper as plot armor. He starts screaming and accuses Amu of pretending to forget him, but she denies it, claiming she's not the same person from his memories. While the fight is on pause, Tsukuyo asks Futo why he'd risk getting his account deleted just to save her. When he gives a total brain-dead answer, she asks him straight up if he helped Amu because they're besties. But Futo says they were never friends, and he doesn't even want that role anymore. He yaps about how friendship isn't something you force, and that it has to happen naturally like a viral TikTok. Turning to this baddie, he adds that sometimes people want to be pookies, but it just turns into a massive L, which he calls a painful miscalculation. And when Amu demands to know why he's capping, he tells her to open her eyes like Tsukuyo and look at the chaos she's causing. Taking a deep breath, Futo shouts that he literally hates her, admitting he can't stand her violence or her toxic lifestyle. This rejection hits Amu harder than a permaban, and she tells him coldly that he's about to meet his maker. Futo stares at her, probably wondering if he's got enough plot armor to survive this encounter. He drops the magazine and admits his only cheat code left is his magic bullet. And if he fumbles this, the other wafers are gonna pay the price. Rin notices him shaking in his boots, and she starts feeling a bit concerned. She wants to hype him up, but she's struggling to find the right riz to say. Then she remembers how he supported her when she was getting bullied by Warabi. Looking at Amu, she notices the chip damage Tsukuyo managed to land earlier. And she recalls how Amu actually warned them to be scared of Futo's weird techniques. So Mary and Rin start shouting for Futo to lock in, promising him that his magic bullet is actually meta. Hearing this, Tsukuyo finally learns what it's like to have actual friends who don't just use you for your rank. Futo takes a sword stance, and Tsukuyo analyzes it, declaring it the best style to use against this unhinged empress. Futo vows to dual-wield the magic bullet, and when Amu threatens to pack up the others, he charges in for a fierce exchange. Using his movement speed, Futo slips behind her, but she hits him with an elbow to the gut and warns him that he's being too predictable. As she tries to strike again, she realizes bro literally took off his jacket to look smacks. He lunges, but she flings the jacket in his face, blinding this absolute regard. He starts mouthing, realizing he just got outplayed by a piece of clothing. But Tsukuyo pings him about an overhead kick, just in time for him to dodge. She roasts his hesitation, telling him his fear is making his gameplay look like a total bot. She also leaks that Amu has a hidden weakness. Apparently, this toxic baddie is actually vulnerable to some good old-fashioned fanservice. Futo smiles, knowing Tsukuyo is basically telling him to strip for the win. She calmly replies that when he finally loses, she'll be the one to finish his account. Futo's confidence hits the ceiling as he remembers all the good times he's had in this degenerate academy. Following the advice, he rips off his shirt like a budget grey fullbuster, declaring he's gonna avenge everyone this baddie ever hurt. Watching him, Amu wonders why he's simping for the other side, and the realization hurts her more than a negative KD ratio. To hide her feelings, she convinces herself that the only way to win is to delete Futo from the server once and for all. She tells herself that if she can't have him as her Pookie, then no one will. Deep down, she knows that if things were different, she would have confessed her feelings, but now it's way too late to say sorry. Amu thinks back to a few weeks ago. When she saw Rin and Mary fighting over Futo, her heart got tight with pain because she remembered how she failed to finish him off during their first real fight. She wished he had chosen her, but she knows Futo is way too stubborn to submit to her toxic rules. So she decides she's gonna end his misery and put his account to rest. Amu orders Futo to come at her like a wounded animal, and he answers that it's exactly what he was planning. He dashes forward at high speeds, making Tsukuyo admit that he's actually a legit swordsman. But she notes his technique is still flawed, which is why he can't fully mask his presence from her radar. Futo appears in front of her and she tries to slash him, but he presses his palm against her chest and fires a magic bullet point blank. The impact yeets her into a flower bed, and the feeling brings back memories of their old school battle. Back then, Amu stood up immediately while Futo was gasping for air like he just ran a marathon. She was about to finish him, but she hesitated at the final frame. She still doesn't understand the brain rot that stopped her that day. Everyone watching is gagged that Amu can still tank these hits and keep fighting. She dares Futo to hit her with everything, and he agrees, saying he won't take responsibility for the bill. They rush each other and start throwing haymakers, abandoning all technique for raw violence. She tells Futo to hit her with everything he's got, and our MC is down, but he warns her he's not taking responsibility for the hospital bill. The woman on the other end is just glad Tsukuyo isn't involved yet, wondering if she should intervene. She agrees they need a timeout, reminding the staff that a student's main job is to stop being a regard and study. On the roof, Tsukuyo watches as both fighters stop using shields and just trade blows like absolute brainlets. Even though they're in pain, she notices they're actually smiling. She wonders if this is what true Pookies look like. Meanwhile, Amu is strangely happy taking hits, craving them like a fat kid craves a happy meal. In her heart, she wants to be the only one he focuses his toxic energy on. After landing a massive uppercut, Futo almost faints, but Rin shouts for him to lock in and win. He forces himself up and fires one last magic bullet. Amu pops her counter, cutting him deep, but then she catches him to keep him from falling. She places his hand on her chest like a scene from a romantic drama, urging him to give her everything he's got. In that moment, Amu finally admits she's deeply in love with this absolute loser. She accepts that loving someone means taking a massive L and tells him to fight without holding back. She says she loves him so much she wants to delete his life, but Futo just tells her he's not feeling the vibe, and Amu literally blue screens and faints from heartbreak. Everyone is awed by the victory, but Tsukuyo immediately draws her blade and points it at Futo, asking if he's ready to catch these hands next. She starts scolding him like an annoying sub-teacher, roasting his reckless playstyle and declaring she's his new babysitter. Futo is confused because she previously said she was gonna punish him. And Tsukuyo explains he sprinted away earlier before she could finish the rest of her dialogue tree. So now he's stuck with her as his direct supervisor until the end of the season. Futo is still stuck on the punishment part, but Tsukuyo reveals he's just a dummy who ran off before she could finish the explanation. Turns out her supervision is actually a massive W, since she's the one who's gonna stamp his permission slip. Every NPC in the lobby is fully expecting him to take the W, but Bro decides to keep his negative aura instead. Even with a blade tickling his neck, Futo refuses to submit to her admin rules, and before things escalate into a full crash out, Satori's minions try to jump Amu. But the headmistress suddenly spawns in and nerfs them all with zero effort, before turning her gaze toward Futo to deliver the most massive L of the season. She officially hits him with the ban hammer, announcing his expulsion and leaving the entire server in total shock. Later that day, Masuko is absolutely tweaking over the news, but he's even more gagged by how calmly Futo is taking this permanent suspension. Futo just stares at his permission slip and remarks that at least Rin won't be yapping in his ear anymore, which is a total cope considering he spent weeks grinding for those stamps. Masuko tries to remind him of the absolute hell he endured to collect those mid-tier rewards, but he eventually leaves our pathetic MC alone to think about his life choices. Fast forward a few days, Warabi receives a photo of her bear fully recovered and smiling, and just as she's yapping with her musketeers, Fudo rolls up to check her stats. He explains he's officially getting packed up and leaving the school for good, and while she tries to stop him, her injuries make her character model totally stuck to the bed. Fudo takes this chance to wish her luck and quietly logs off, heading over to Satori's room next. The goth baddie wakes up and asks to look at his goofy face one last time, and to hide her sadness, she pulls the most unholy brainrot expression you've ever seen. Fudo just jokes that he's seen worse on his Twitter feed, making them both laugh before she tries to bait him into one last bathroom duel. Bro politely declines like a total beta and says his goodbyes, running straight into Mizogi, who is nervously waiting to see her toxic sister. Satori finally tells her to drop the formal act and call her whatever, explaining she's officially done pretending to be a top-tier op. Meanwhile, Rin and Mary are desperately glazing the headmistress in her office, trying to get her to reverse the ban before Fudo touches grass for real. They argue that Fudo is the only reason the server didn't get wiped by Amu, but the admin stays firm and tells them the decision is final and unappealable. Later, Fudo encounters the blind baddie Tsukuyo near the fountain, and she asks if he's ready to reconsider her offer now that he's taking a massive L. He tries to remind her he's banned, but she reveals that Amu is already at the airport and tells him technicalities still make him a student for the next 10 minutes. Fudo immediately starts speedrunning to catch her, only stopping when Tsukuyo pings him about his incomplete quest stamps. He claims the stamps don't matter anymore, but she urges him to just go after her, promising to vouch for him as his new personal teacher. Fudo reaches the airport and catches up to Amu, who is acting like a typical tsundere and asking why he's stream sniping her departure. He shows off his fully stamped permission slip and jokes about running away together, but Amu just tells him to follow his own script. Knowing she's about to log out, he asks for any final words, which gives her the perfect opening to rush forward and steal a kiss in 4K. She pushes him away and declares that he belongs in her inventory now, claiming her heart has been simping for him since they first clashed years ago. Confused as ever, Fudo returns to the academy and runs into Rin, who is clearly looksmaxing in a new outfit just for him. She asks if the airport Riz was worth it and reminds him that Amu nearly ended his playthrough, but bro keeps the kiss to himself like a total secret. He tells her they probably won't meet again because of the expulsion, but Mary suddenly spawns in to ruin the moment and call Rin a traitor. She delivers the plot armor news that the headmistress was just trolling about the expulsion, and Fudo is still officially enrolled in this toxic lobby. But there's a catch, because now Rin and Mary are officially assigned to monitor his golden joystick 24/7 as his personal watchers. On the walk back, Rin stops them and draws her blade, trying to re-establish the same cringe rules she laid out on day one. Just like before, Fudo rejects her conditions and tells them to just meet him at school, but this time, they let him lead without trying to cut off his golden pickle. When Fudo arrives, he finds the entire server waiting to welcome him back, and he actually smiles like a regard. Realizing he finally has a place where he truly belongs, he calls this degenerate academy his beautiful home, and if you actually watched this until the end, comment down below Fudo and the 5 baddies so I know you're a real one, and check out this next video for more unhinged recaps. Fudo is still sweating about being expelled, but then Mary spawns in, calling Rin a total traitor for getting to the MC first. Then comes the plot twist. The headmistress was just trolling about the expulsion, and Fudo is still officially in the game. But there's a catch from now on. Rin and Mary are officially assigned as his full-time babysitters. On the walk back, Rin pulls out the steel to remind Fudo that he's still under her thumb and better follow the rules. Just like day one, he refuses her conditions and tells them to just catch him at school if they've got a problem. Surprisingly, they actually let him lead this time without trying to nerf his golden pickle. When Fudo finally pulls up, the whole squad is there waiting to welcome their favorite delinquent back. Seeing this, Fudo finally realizes he's found his tribe, calling this absolute chaos of an academy his beautiful home. If you watched this anime recap until the end, drop Futo and the 5 baddies in the comments so I know who the real ones are. And if you love high-energy recaps like this, click right here to watch the next one.